Hi, everybody. Welcome back to InvestHER Fiduciary Solutions monthly webinar. Today, we are going to do part 2 of the avoiding financial scams, making sure that you don't get played, and all that good stuff. So, Melissa's going to go ahead and talk about part 2 again, and um, and I'll just chime in whenever.
Okay. All right. If you'll pull up our PowerPoint.
Here we go.
Okay. So here we are, part 2. When we first decided to do this, there was so much information, so much new information that we just couldn't do it all in 1 month. So here we are with part 2. Don't get played. How to recognize and avoid financial scams, what to do before, during, and after the storm. Next slide. First, what we want to share is, I think, our disclaimer. Um,
Mhm.
this is not specific financial advice for any one specific person. Um, the information that is here is educational in nature. It is based upon information that is readily available at this time. Right now, it is March 2026. Um, and so we always recommend that if people have specific questions that they reach out to either Sarah or myself or another qualified individual if they have very specific questions. So, disclaimer. Okay.
Did you say March?
Did I? I'm in May.
It's May
It's
2026.
actually at the bottom of the slide. It says May 2026. Excuse me. All you know what? This year it's all running together. May
All
2020.
good.
Okay. First, what I wanted to do, I wanted to recap part 1.
Mhm.
Um, Now, not going to go through it because obviously part 1 is out there on our YouTube channel. You can go and see it. But I want to just kind of talk about an overview of some of the things that we talked about. One of the things I thought was interesting about it is fraud is actually not one of the things that financial advisors usually incorporate when they're doing a financial plan, even for us. After going through this, I started really thinking about what are things that we really need to share with our clients, especially as they're preparing for retirement around fraud. And so we're going to talk about some of those things today, but just to kind of give you some of the highlights, some of the things that we talked about. We talked about all the different types of fraud. We talked about identity theft. We talked about synthetic fraud. We talked about deep fakes. We talked about romance schemes. We talked
Mhm.
about social media targeting. We talked about investment scams, social engineering, payment scams. We talked about pig butchering. Remember that? That's part
Yes.
of romance scams, but they actually call it pig butchering, which is kind of a crazy
Great.
name, but a name that you won't forget. So we went through all of that last time. But today we're going to talk about part 2, which is how to avoid the scams and what to do if you are scammed. But let me tell you what was so funny, Sarah. We all know that Alexa and Google are listening to everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
So no sooner had we just finished part 1 and I was starting to put part 2 together. This is what I actually got. What's on the screen right now? This is the email or the I think it came as a text message, but it was from the Department of Driver Services. It came like within an hour after we did that webinar, and it was someone telling me that my driver's license was going to be suspended indefinitely.
Oh, my goodness.
And I
Oh,
was
my
like,
goodness.
what? So what was so crazy about it? Look up at the top. It's a text message, but it's from this email address, Sandra Warner 862
Mhm.
at one-hotmail.com. Already that's a flag, right?
Yeah,
So
because
I knew
who's
that we were
Sandra?
okay. I knew that my driver's license was okay. But then I actually went to the website, and that's what you see on the right side. So you see up at the top in yellow is where they're basically saying these are scams. If someone is reaching out to you, it's not us. So I wanted to screenshot this for you because literally we had just talked about this, and here it was somebody trying to scam me for something, which was not going to happen. So I wanted to
I,
show you that.
I like that they do that, that they tell you about these scams. But
Yes.
in the moment, people really don't know to go there to look to verify the source. I
Yeah.
think in the moment, people are just scared. Like, oh my goodness.
Sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And here's another thing. They don't know to post it if no one tells them that it's going on.
Yeah.
So usually I like to share that information with them, say, hey, this is some type of spoof email or whatever that I got. But this one was, it was so timely. It just happened. So I said, oh, I got to put this in part two.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so next slide. Okay, let me tell you why fraud is so important. And again, we talked about how a lot of advisors in the financial space don't incorporate this as part of their planning. But I wanted to give you all the reasons why this topic was so important. Starting with number one, fraud is a direct wealth destroyer. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people really think of it from that standpoint, but fraud can have a ripple effect that it can affect so many other things, and not even just your finances, even your emotions, right? So, very often when someone is scammed, it's not just about the money, even though sometimes that's the first biggest thing is, large concentrated amounts of money. For some people, their life savings has been wiped out.
Yeah.
We talk about Bernie Madoff all day long, right? The retirement accounts are drained. Home equity may have been leveraged or lost. Um, but one incident can really undo years and years and years of disciplined planning. One of the other things I think about, number two, where it talks about there's often no recovery. So oftentimes we're talking with clients about their investment portfolio, right? And we're often talking to people about the ups and downs of the market,
Yeah.
how uncomfortable people are when the market is down. But at least one thing we can say for sure, the stock market has been around for over 400 years, and it has always
Mm-hmm.
recovered. But when we're talking about someone getting scammed, sometimes there's no recovery at all. The money is just gone, right? And if it's something, especially if it's something you've been saving for years and years and decades and things like that, you may not have the same number of years ahead of you than you did behind you. You may not have the capacity, you may not have the wherewithal or the health to be able to rebuild, right? Not to mention, who wants to rebuild after they've lost everything? Who wants to start over? Nobody wants to start over. So, um, something that people need to think about. It can disrupt the entire financial plan, right? When we are doing a financial plan, we are trying to conservatively plan for someone retiring at a certain age, living to a certain age. We're trying to make sure that they don't outlive their money. They can allot for all the different risks that are in retirement, inflation risk, market risk, healthcare costs, all those different things, right? But if you are scammed out of a small amount of money, a larger amount of money, it can just really throw that whole plan off. And what may happen is you may have to delay when you retire.
Yeah.
You may have to take out larger withdrawals, which may affect if you're going to have the ability to not run out of money. You may have to liquidate some assets, and those assets may not even just be investments. It may be real estate. It may be a piece of land, maybe something that you wanted to leave in your family, right? And then there's the tax consequences of that as well, right? So it really does have this ripple effect that people need to really consider. And then let's talk about how it impacts your credit and borrowing power. And we all know that when we think about credit, it's not just our ability to leverage somebody else's money to buy goods and services. Sometimes it can impact your employment. I literally just got off a session with a potential client about an hour ago, and she spoke about a position that she's up for that has a security clearance with the government.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's about credibility. Well, part of that credibility is checking her credit, right? And so, along with that, we're talking about how much debt do you have, what's your credit score, are you paying your bills on time, all those kinds of things. And this is also someone who wants to purchase a home. So all this is encapsulated in what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
What about fraudulent accounts that automatically start appearing on your credit report? Loans being taken out in your name. I think this is also really prevalent in with seniors. I used to be the board chair of an organization called House Proud, and what we did is we provide free home repairs for veterans, seniors, and disabled persons. And one of the things that we often saw is that people would scam seniors out of their home, a home that they have lived in for generations. The house is paid. Um, but maybe there wasn't some type of title insurance, or somebody some kind of way got a hold of the house. And next thing you know, the person is having to move out of their house and move out of their community, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
all these things, it's terrible, some of the things that happen. But again, we said it can affect your mortgage eligibility, your interest rates, your job offers, and much, much more. Next slide. Here's more. I talked about the emotional impact, right? So think about it. If you've ever been scammed out of money, it feels like it's such a betrayal, right? So it really does do something to your psyche. And for some people, what happens after that is now they become overly conservative, overly cautious. Some people avoid investing altogether, which is terrible, because the cost of goods and services is still going up, right?
Yeah,
The
every
rent is
year.
still going up, the gas is still going up. But if you're not at least keeping up with inflation, what you're really doing is you're going broke very slowly over time, right?
Hmm.
So, what happens is people, they lose confidence. And so behavioral shifts can often happen after somebody has been scammed. I would imagine for the thousands of people that were part of the Bernie Madoff scam, feel very differently about investing, or people in the industry, right?
Hmm.
Earlier today, I saw a post on LinkedIn about someone that their CPA had really messed them up with their taxes. And the person made a recommendation that they should see a financial advisor. And they were like, I don't want to see a financial advisor. They're going to rip me off too. So now it has shifted over into other areas, right? First, the CPA, you don't trust the CPA. Now you don't trust the financial advisor either. So again, it has a ripple effect in a lot of different areas. High income people are targets, right? Um, so when I think about this, I think about my mom. My mom is on fixed income. She doesn't have a lot to take, right? I think about my dad before my dad passed. He didn't have a lot to take. They basically have just enough, right? So they're probably not really targets. But people that do have a lot of things, they have a lot of finances, they have a lot of assets and real estate and large bank accounts and those kinds of things. They are larger targets.
Hmm.
So there's more opportunity for them to be scammed. Also, they might be busy. People that are, in those types of income ranges are also very busy. So sometimes they don't always have the time to really be paying attention in the way that they would want to. Um, they have a lot of activity going on in those types of accounts as well. So it's easy when there's a lot of activity, it's easy to miss something, right? Versus this is something I think about too. We're in this what we call frictionless society. And when you just have a few transactions in your bank account, it's easy to spot something that looks strange, right? Something
Right.
that's like, where did that come from? But if you have hundreds of transactions, it's more difficult to spot it right away, right?
Right.
Okay,
Hmm.
so here we're talking about success. Success increases visibility and risk. If you even think about actors and athletes and these types of people, you hear about lawsuits all the time. And why?
All the time. Yeah.
They have all these assets, right? So that's a real thing. High income individuals are targets. And then we already talked about it's a planning risk, right?
Hmm.
So Sarah and I, one of the things that we're definitely going to do is we want to start focusing on when we're doing a retirement income plan. We also want to focus and give our clients some information about fraud, right? Because the last thing you want to do is help somebody for decades and help them get positioned for retirement, and all of a sudden the bottom falls out because they've gotten scammed by somebody, and
Right.
we didn't say something. We didn't give them some things that they could do that would really help. Okay,
Right.
awesome. Next slide. So we have to have this new mindset. And I've been thinking about this a lot, not just around finances, but if you're on Instagram or any other really social media platform, there's all these different videos about things to watch out for when you're going to the store, when you're going to the ATM, when you're coming back to your car, and don't be on your phone. And When you go to the gas pump, if people that are putting the things over where you tap and pay, like we have to be on alert all the time to some degree, right? We have to be very conscious about our surroundings. So trust is no longer automatic. So when I say that, think back, for especially for those of us, some of us that are of an older age, a more mature age. There was a time when you would always trust your elders. You would trust people in authority. You would trust people in uniform, right? Um, just automatically, right? That's really kind of no longer the case. Now we have to be cautious, even
Mm-hmm.
of people that may be older, that may be are in positions of authority. And that could be anything from presidents to people in politics, to people in law enforcement, and on and on down. So what really happens is we have to verify, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important, even in our industry, when we meet with people, we often talk to them about, how do you vet the financial advisor, the financial planner? How do you vet them? There's actually ways you can verify some of their credentials. And I'm gonna bring this up as a little side note. There is a doctor um, out in the social media space right now who's being challenged about her doctorate. And she is not providing any information to verify her credentials. It's a big deal. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very big deal, especially when I think about those of us like you and I, Sarah, that are constantly continuing our education. I think about my best friend who's about to do her dissertation. I think about myself, where I'm planning on working on my doctorate maybe a year from now. The amount of work and effort and sacrifice that goes into that, to have somebody else just come in and say, I'm a doctor, right?
Yeah.
So verification really does become our responsibility. And then slowing down is a financial strategy. So what I really want to do today is I want to give people like six steps of things to do to really protect yourself. And we'll start on the next slide. Okay, here are the six things that we're going to dive in today. So we have protect, which is how you're going to lock things down in advance. You're going to lock your financials down. Detect, how are you going to catch things early? Pause, how do you interrupt the pressure? So we're going to talk about that. Verify, how do you confirm things before acting? How do you act if you are scammed? How do you respond quickly if something does happen? And then the last one is about talk. And this is actually one that I really wanted to add in here, is after it happens. How do you seek emotional support and recovery? Because it often can affect your psyche as well. So if you follow these six steps, you can dramatically reduce your risk. So let's get into it.
Love this.
I spent a lot of time on those icons. So the first thing is freeze your credit at all the bureaus, right? So most people think there's three bureaus. There's actually four. So there's Experian, there's Equifax, there's TransUnion, there's also LexisNexis, which a lot of people don't know about. I don't know as much about LexisNexis. I have pulled my report from them maybe a couple of years ago. And with them, I'm not sure if they have a freeze component. But the other three do, because my credit is locked. And my credit is locked for a couple of reasons. I want to give you all this statistic. The average person has about 5 to 7 credit cards. And I know this is true because I do. I, I have more. I have more than 7. However, I will say some of them are business cards and some of them are personal cards. So I
Okay.
probably have more than most, because I do separate my personal from my from business. But they said the average person has about 3 to 4 cards that are active. So they may have some that they're not using,
Mm-hmm.
but they have some that they're actively using all the time. The average credit card balance carried right now is between $6,500 and $6,700 per person.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, surprisingly, that's actually lower than I thought it was. That's actually lower. So then I had a breakdown by generation. So Generation X, that's my generation, carries the highest average balances, around 9,600. So really, about most Gen Xers are carrying about $10,000 of credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
Millennials. This is you,
That's
Sarah.
me. That's me.
Millennials are carrying around 7,000.
Okay.
And then we have older retirees, that would be your baby boomers, and then your Gen Zs tend to carry less debt overall. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
It went from less to the highest to a little bit lower to low. Like it's, I don't know why that is, but that's what it is. But I know for me, I'm not really interested in getting any more credit card offers. I'm just not. I have enough. Um, and so I freeze my credit. So I actually put the screenshots on here, what it looks like when you're in the app. You have the Experian Freeze, all these apps. I have them bookmarked on my computer, but I also have them on my cell phone. Experian Freeze, Equifax Lock and Alert, that's this green one here, and then TransUnion, which is down here at the bottom. My credit is frozen.
Yeah.
And it's frozen for a couple of reasons. One of them is I don't need any more credit card offers. But the other thing is no one can get in there and access my credit without my knowledge. So when I do have to apply for credit, I usually ask them and say, well, what credit bureau are you using? Because I need to go and unfreeze it.
Yeah.
And I'll unfreeze it for like a day. Like, you're going to do it right now, I'll unfreeze it for one day. And then I want it locked back up, right? So that's one of the reasons why I do it, is I don't want somebody to have access to my credit. The next thing is using strong, unique passwords. And when I say unique, I mean letters, numbers, cap and lowercase, right?
Mm-hmm.
A combination of those. And usually a long string is better. Now, of course, those are hard to remember. I like to use 16 characters.
That's a lot.
Right? Needless to say, I cannot remember them. But we're going to talk about password managers as well. So what I did is I looked up kind of some of the top companies that create unique passwords. And interestingly enough, I really hadn't heard of these. There's NordPass, there's Bitwarden, and there's 1Password. I use LastPass. I've been using them for a couple of years. I'm pretty happy with them. I even have them on my cell phone. And that's what I use to create my passwords. It's not what I use to manage my passwords. I use something else to manage them. But again, I looked up password managers. NordPass also can manage all your passwords. Then I saw Proton Pass, and of course, LastPass is one of them. Some of these are free and some of them cost money. That's completely up to you. But I know anytime I'm signing up on a new website and I'm creating a password, gone are the days of the 2 passwords that I knew way back then off the top of my head that I was using.
Yeah.
Not anymore. And trust me, those passwords are all out all over the place. We start talking about the dark web alerts and stuff like that. Those passwords, they're everywhere. So I've definitely gone in and changed to start using 16 characters, unique passwords, and my password manager is keeping up with those. So that's a good one. What about you, Sarah? Are you using something to create your passwords or to manage them?
I think I just used the Google Password Manager. Luckily, in the military, they make you take cybersecurity every year.
Mhm.
And so part of that cybersecurity training is how to create a really strong password.
Okay.
So I still create my passwords based on, that criteria,
Okay.
and it hasn't failed me yet. So,
Okay. Awesome.
yeah, but in the real world, you can't make people take that cybersecurity training. But I do recommend, either watching this, webinar or taking the cybersecurity training or something. Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And I do use Google as my password manager. I
Yeah.
do. Hmm. And that's worked out very well for me. Okay. Another one is two-factor authentication, or
Mhm.
you talk about MFA, multi-factor authentication. And so I have a couple of these on my
I do
phone.
too. Yeah.
I've got Microsoft Authenticator, I've got Google Authenticator, I've got Duo Mobile. I also have there's another one that we use in the securities industry. And so it depends on which authenticator the platform says that they use, but that is another great way to protect yourself. I know it's an inconvenience, right? I hate when I have to do it, but I know that it's protecting me. It's that I have
Exactly. Mhm.
As a matter of fact, and also, this is the only one that I have like this, but where I bank at Wells Fargo, can y'all see this? I have this little passkey thing. It has a 6-digit code, and it changes like every 30 seconds or something like that. And when I log into my bank, I have to put this code, the code in, the current code.
Oh.
And now, mind you, it's in my house. Like, I'm not expecting anybody to come in my house and try to log into my account. But I do use that. And one of the things I do like about it is if I'm sending somebody money through Zelle,
Yeah.
before I can send it, I have to put the passcode in there also. Right. So if someone did have access to my account and decided that they want to send themselves all the money in my account, they would have to have this. They'd have to have this little pass key. There's a name for this. I don't know what it's called. But I wasn't doing that for a long time, and I was like, man, that's where a lot of my money is. Let me lock it down. So
Yeah.
that's why I have it right here in my house, in my office, which also has a lock on it, by the way. You have to get through a couple of locks to even get in here.
That's pretty neat.
It is. It is. There's some other places that do it too, but I definitely use it for my main bank account. Okay, next slide. Okay, you can see we're still on protect. If you see in the bottom right, we got the little shield with the lock. It says protect. We're still in protect mode, right? Okay, this top one, this is not the same as freezing your credit. This is freezing your debit and credit cards that you don't use regularly. Now, I am a big proponent of this. Remember, I already said I have more than the 7 to 9 credit cards, which I do. But most of them are locked. Most of them are locked for good reason. I remember one year, this was on my debit card. I remember one year I had to get my debit card replaced like 3 or 4 times. Some kind of way somebody was, getting access to my card. And I've tried all the things, the RFID cards, the RFID protected wallets. Some kind of way people were still getting to some of my cards. And so I keep most of them. I probably only have 2 that I use regularly that are not locked. But I freeze most of them. And I feel real good about that. When I want to make a purchase, I unlock it, and then I make my purchase and I lock it right back up again.
I need to start doing that.
Yeah, it is. I know it has saved me. It has saved me in some instances. So that's something great to do. Adding alerts on all of your accounts, especially on your bank, it's easy. The bank has all kinds of alerts that you can put on. Anything from a large transaction, and you can put what would be a large transaction for you. Maybe for me it's $200. Maybe for you it's 500. Transactions that are trying to be made out of the country. Because sometimes we'll get alerts. You're trying to purchase something from Temu or Shein. Like, wait a minute, that's like in China someplace, right? You get an alert and they say, is this you? I'm like, yeah, it's me. So there's all kinds of alerts you can put on there. You can put alerts when you get a deposit. You can get alerts when a check clears, all kinds of alerts that you can put on your accounts. So that's something important to do. Monitor daily or weekly. I know this is a hard one. I'm gonna be honest, I don't monitor daily, but I do try to peek in there once a week.
Yeah.
What I find is the longer I wait, the memory starts to fade. I'm trying to go back 4 weeks and say, what is this? I don't even remember what this is. But if it was,
no.
You know what I mean? So I try to peek in there, and I'll have to peek on the ones that I froze, right? Because nothing happened, right? But I do try to take a look at my accounts at least once a week. Separating accounts. Now, there's another webinar that we've done where I've talked about fix, flex, and future. Okay? What that is fix is really separating your fixed accounts, the things you have to pay for every month. I got to pay mortgage or rent. I got a car note. I got utilities. I got food. Those are your fixed expenses, right? And maybe that's one account. I know for a lot of maybe married couples or couples will do, they each have their own account, but then they have a joint account, and that's for all their fixed expenses. And they're both putting money in there to make sure that all the fixed expenses for the household are taken care of. Then you have flex. Flex are those extra things, right? It could be shopping. It could be You don't have to get your nails done, but you want to
Yeah.
get your nails done. You want to get your hair done. Maybe it's for your vacations, whatever.
Yeah.
These are like all those extra things that would be flex, because they tend to change from month to month. They're not the same every single month. And then lastly, you have your future, where you're doing your retirement planning, things for the future, right?
Hmm.
So separating those accounts, because if you have it all in one, if I have my retirement money and my flex money and my fixed money all in the same account and I get scammed, everything is gone.
Yeah.
So it's good to separate your accounts.
That's a good idea.
This last one is super important. Limit your saved debit or credit cards in websites and apps. Okay, so I'm gonna give y'all a story. Oh, even before I do that, I actually took these screenshots from my Navy Federal. Um, of course, I have no account information on there, so nobody can can snatch it from me. But I'm showing you how I've frozen those cards. So I've frozen my debit card for my checking account, and I've frozen my Visa for my both on they're frozen. That's literally what it looks like when I logged in. They're frozen. They cannot
Hmm.
be used. So I just wanted to show you what that looks like. Okay. But getting back to limiting cards, we shop in certain, like Amazon. Lord Jesus, Amazon is my guilty pleasure. I'm not gonna lie. I love I love Amazon. I'm sorry. And I know that, Jeff Bezos has enough money, but he's gonna get his money from me because I love Amazon.
Yeah.
There
It's
have been
very
times I've
convenient.
had to go in there and I've had to remove cards because I have so many different cards in there. Like, look, I'm just gonna have one for business and one for personal. That's it. But there's a lot of places that I don't shop regularly, right? And they'll ask you when you're making your purchase, do you want us to save this card for future use? I've stopped doing that. I
That's good.
stopped doing that. I'm making the purchase, and then I don't want the card saved in there. I don't care if I have to save it to make the purchase and then go in there to my profile and remove the card. I'm not keeping my card in there. That's just really opening me up to additional liability, unless it's a card that I keep frozen, right? The only way
Yeah.
I can use it is if I unfreeze it. Now, the reason why I'm harping on this, and this probably happened about 2 years ago. I was flying to Miami, and when I got to Miami, I was going to stay with my cousin, and I ordered an Uber. And now, mind you, I have Uber and Lyft. I have both of them. And depending upon where I am, I know which one I'm going to use. So I ordered an Uber, and inside my Uber account was my American Express card. And something really weird happened. And it was late at night. Sarah, it was like midnight when I got there. It was really, really late. Last flight. And while I was standing there waiting on the Uber, I think I was talking on the phone. And at the same time, I got some text message that said there was some kind of code I had to put in. Now, mind you, the Uber hadn't shown up. And I looked and I saw a code and I gave the code. And guess what? That's when the scam started.
Oh no.
Locked me out of my Uber account. They added $600 from my American Express card to the Uber. And then immediately I started seeing a lot of activity on my American Express card, and additional Ubers being ordered. And by the way, and no one came to pick me up.
Oh my god.
And guess what? They changed the passcode. So now I could not log into Uber. I couldn't log into Uber. And guess what? At the time, I don't know if Uber has changed this, but this is what really irritated me. There was no phone number to call.
Yeah.
You could text, and then the text would say, if you want to chat with us, you need to log into your Uber account to chat. And I couldn't log in. And it's midnight. And I'm trying to get to my cousin. I'm at the airport in Miami.
I know you were upset.
I was upset. And I started thinking, I said, and not only that, but I also knew that the same American Express card was in my Lyft account. And I knew that the passwords to both of those accounts was the same. And I was like, Melissa, come on now.
Yeah.
So I end up getting a Lyft after I changed the password in there. And then I called American Express, which needless to say, American Express was wonderful. They were wonderful. Like, don't even worry about it, right? But it took me about 3 weeks to get in that Uber account. It took me 3 weeks. Now,
Jeez.
we all know the morals for that story. the good part about it is when I finally got in there, whatever was left of the $600 was still in there that I still got to spend. But that's neither here nor there. But that's an important one. So now what I've started paying more attention to, what cars do I have sitting in somebody else's, because if something happens, first of all, trying to figure out which one, where did it come from? I don't want to have to deal with that. So I limit, or I don't even have a card in there. I just don't have one in there.
Yeah, because if you didn't have your card saved in Uber, in your Uber account, then all pretty much what would happen is they probably would have canceled your Uber.
Yes. And then I'm sitting there, I'm not paying attention. They asked me for a code. I put that code in there, and then they had access to my account.
Yeah.
Weirdest thing. Okay. Next slide. Okay. I'm gonna move a little bit faster now.
Okay.
I still want to protect. Okay, well, protecting your digital life. I think about this a lot. How many of us have gone to Starbucks and pulled out our laptop and got on the Starbucks Wi-Fi? Right?
Yeah.
We're in the airport. We get on the airport Wi-Fi.
Hotel.
Or even in a hotel, right?
Yeah.
I have tried to not use public Wi-Fi, especially if I'm doing any type of financial transaction, right? Maybe if I'm just checking social media or whatever, maybe not. But that's something that we really can do is avoid public Wi-Fi. I can use the Wi-Fi off of my phone if I need to, right?
Yeah.
So that's important. Also, updating your devices regularly. It always surprises me when I see people with their phone and they have 3 or 4 updates that they haven't done.
Mm-hmm.
I do all the updates. Because a lot of times when you read what they say, there's bug fixes and there's a lot of times there's security updates, and I want the security update, right? Definitely being cautious with links and downloads, things that people send you that don't look right. I get this spam email from Costco all the time, and it has a picture of some type of Yeti, and it's the thing is blurry and it's got some kind of link, like, it's just crazy. I'm very cautious about opening up links and downloads for sure. Speaking of social media awareness, oversharing. Now I see people, not only are they on vacation, they have screenshot their plane from here to wherever they went, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of the country for however long, all the things. And I'm not saying don't do that. I don't share vacation photos until I've returned.
Yeah. Same here.
Because I don't need everybody to know I'm not at my house.
Yeah.
It's easy to find out where I live. It's easy to find out where anybody lives. I don't want you at my house when I'm not here.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I have cameras all around the house and I have security and all of that, what can I do if I'm in London? There's not a whole lot that I can do about it, right?
Yeah.
When I was working out at the gym every single day, I would see people, they would do the same thing. They would post that I'm at the gym, right? Someone just checked in at LA Fitness. I don't do that either. Because again, I'm at the gym long enough for you to come to my house and do whatever you want to do. So I don't share those kinds of things. If I do, it's when I get back, right? So I'm at my house now. But here's the thing: scammers do study your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
They do. And then that's what it says here: location plus habits equal access points. People sometimes are not aware of the pictures that they're posting. People may be looking behind them to see, okay, there's a door right there. Maybe people start figuring stuff out, or they can pull up. They can go to the tax assessor's website and kind of pull up the schematic of your house, right? So these are things that people can really be aware of.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is. Okay, we're on detect. Finally. The rest of them go a little bit faster. So red flag language. This is one of the things that scammers use, is they try to pressure us, right? Act now, limited time, don't tell anyone, this is guaranteed. Today only.
Yeah.
Next 24 hours only. They try to, and especially all the shopping and stuff that we do on TikTok and all this kind of stuff. You hear this all the time. Limited time, we sold out, we're going to sell out again. All this pressure language that, to try to get us to act right then. And then we have the behavioral red flags. So they're always trying to pressure us to move quickly. This is another one that's a little bit scary. I used to have this happen with either, I think it was eBay, request to move off the platform. People want to pay me off the platform. Well, why do I need to get off the platform for you to pay me? You can pay me through eBay.
Yeah.
There's some protections there, right? I've even had someone send me a fake text that looked like a payment confirmation. No, that's not working for me. So, and again, the emotional manipulation, especially maybe catching somebody at a vulnerable time. And here's one that I kind of had to look this up. It talked about too consistent, too polished. And this is for scenarios where people are maybe in constant or frequent communication with someone and they're always too available. Anytime you call or text, they're right there, right? Too available, too
Mhm.
aligned, everything is perfect, conversation is perfect, too smooth, never had an issue. Then all of a sudden you get hit with the hook. They're asking you or telling you about an opportunity that they can help you with, right?
Yeah.
So everything's just is too easy, right? Next slide. Okay, the financial red flags. And if you're looking real close, I'm gonna apologize right now because I had Chat GPT make this slide and there's a couple of misspellings in there, but you get the point. First of all, unusual transactions. And I do love that banks now they kind of understand your spending patterns,
Hmm.
something unusual. They usually reach out and they say, this is very unlikely. I think when last time someone was trying to use my debit card, they I had just got back from DC. This was in New York. 3 transactions to what's the name of this little teeny bopper place that people shop? Fashion something. Forever 21.
Yeah.
There was 3 transactions, $200 a piece at Forever 21. I ain't been 21 in a long time. I don't shop at Forever 21, but they caught it, right? Before it actually went through, they caught it. So I was really happy about that.
Yeah.
The
That's
login alerts is a big one, right? I pay attention to those, especially if I get a login alert that says someone tried to log into my account from Russia or
yeah.
there's some weird place, some place I know that I haven't been. Account changes that I didn't request, password changes, right? When I change my password, I know I'm expecting the email to come in and says that you just changed your password. If I didn't do it, then I know I need to go in and change it. I have had to do that recently with Facebook.
Hmm.
Go in and change it. If you're missing statements, that to me that's kind of a hard one because I'm pretty electronic and all of that. I really don't want a whole bunch of paper coming to my house. So that's not really one that I've had to deal with, but it's something to just be aware of. If you are getting paper statements and all of a sudden you don't get your statement,
Red
so
flag.
you go on in there and change your address,
Yeah.
and now they're getting the statement. So to be careful about that. Next slide. Ooh, we're moving, Sarah.
Was.
Pause. Pause. I love this one. This is definitely a way that you can kind of slow it down.
Hmm.
There is no hurry. I'm not responding immediately. I'm not. So if you tell me that, you have an opportunity right now, it's got to happen right now, then the answer is no. I don't care what it is. You're not going to force me to make a decision right now if I don't.
Hmm.
And I'm not sending money and I'm not clicking on any links. There's a company that I could mention, but I won't, where they try to do that, where like, if you do it today, there's some special discount and all the other kind of things. Like, well, I'm not making a decision today. So I guess I'll just miss out. And I'm okay with that because I didn't have it before. So I feel perfectly okay with that. But again, legitimate opportunities are not going to expire in minutes, right? So
Yeah.
hold your horses. Okay. Now, here I put where you could create some personal rules for yourself. How some people have rules that, especially in couples, each person in the couple won't loan out money unless it has to be below a certain amount. Otherwise, they have to talk to their partner, right? That's
Yeah.
a personal rule. Or here's one: no financial decisions under pressure. If I feel pressure, I'm not making a decision. No money movement without verification. That's an important one. I'm gonna come back to that one. No responding to unexpected requests immediately. It's the same thing. No pressure. and to be okay with missing out on time sensitive opportunities. I'm perfectly
Yeah.
with that. I feel like, again, if it's a legitimate opportunity, it will be there 3 days from now when I've done my verification.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, then I wasn't supposed to have it. I'm perfectly okay with that. Okay, next slide. Okay, the verification process. Here we're getting into some good stuff. Calling the company directly, not the number that they gave to you, but either I will Google the number or I'll look on the back of the credit card, debit card, like, or my bank statement, my monthly statement, and calling the company, right? Like I could have called the DMV when I got that email, but fortunately
Yeah.
I logged in because I already had it. I already had the login for it, right? Making sure you're using official websites. Now, I was buying FIFA tickets about a month ago. And guess what? I was not on a legitimate website.
Oh no.
But how I found out is I was using my American Express card. And before that transaction went through, I got an alert from American Express and I stopped the transaction. And then even after that, I got an email. I got an email like last week, and they sent the email not just to me. They sent that email to a whole bunch of people. They didn't even blind copy us, and it
Mm-hmm.
said that your transaction for your FIFA tickets didn't go through. But they're still trying to get the money.
Oh.
So I didn't get taken, but almost. But again, that alert came, and I stopped to read what that alert was, and I was like, okay, I'm not on a legitimate website for FIFA tickets, right? So I want to use the official website, confirm with the trusted advisor, and double checking the instructions. That seems so simple, but sometimes it is a matter of just reading through line by line by line. What are the instructions in order for me to make this transaction, right? Okay. So we want to ask. We want to ask questions when we're transferring money. Now, this is one that I do all the time. You see that dollar bill on there? I did this.
Yeah.
I've got someone doing work at my house. He told me I could Zelle him the deposit. And what did I do? I Zelled him $1 first.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that the credentials are well. I'm not about to send, some big deposit and it goes to the wrong person because, again, remember, when it's gone, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent him $1 first, and I would not send him the rest until I heard from him either voice or text that he did receive the dollar. And then I send him the rest of the money. I do that every single time. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you get $1, right? Always verify wire instructions verbally. Dealing with that right now. I'm dealing with one of our clients that we're wiring some money from her portfolio, and she gave me the wire instructions, and then I read them back to her, and then I put them in our CRM system, and then I went there and I verified like 3 or 4 times to make sure, right? Never relying on email alone.
No, no. Please don't.
Sometimes it's as simple as, just, and I know a lot of times people don't like to get on the phone, but sometimes it's that important. You need to just pick up the phone, right? The other thing is that I think about, and we talked about this in part one, is the deep fakes, how people's voices are being cloned and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, if someone calls me, I can hang up and call back to the number that I know, right? That's an important one. And confirming changes independently, right? And of course, this is really a huge one for people dealing with real estate transactions and business owners. So we want to verify. Next slide. Okay. Now, what happens if we are targeted, if we do get scammed? So now we have to act. First of all, if you feel like someone is scamming you, stop communication. I stop. You get blocked. I probably have an inordinate amount of numbers that are blocked on my
Yeah.
phone. It might be like 200. Because as soon as I'm like, I don't have time for this. You're blocked. I don't want you calling me anymore. And unfortunately, there may be some legitimate companies that have gotten blocked just because they got mixed in, but it is what it is. But stopping communication. Do not send additional funds. Tell you a story. I have a high school classmate. Their their spouse passed, and this person was having a really, really hard time. and trying to, first grieving for the loss of their spouse and then trying to get back into the workforce and so on and so forth. And um, they reached out if I could help them out with a couple, some things with their medication and some stuff like that. And I did. I said, yeah, here's something to help you out. The next thing you know, they were reaching out to me on a regular basis.
Oh gosh.
And then at one point I stopped and I went to look how much money and how many times had I Zelled. Like it may not have been a lot, but when you add it all up, next thing you know, you out a couple $100 or whatever, right? Until finally I had to say, I cannot do this anymore. Like I am no longer a person that you can come to for this. I said, because right now I'm financing your fixed, flex, and future. I gotta fund my own, right? And so I had to stop communication. I said that and then I stopped communication. I stopped sending additional funds, right? And I do have all the messages in the records.
Mm-hmm.
I have all of that, right? But again, if money has been sent, now I'm debating maybe you should do number 3 first. It says contact the bank immediately, but you might want to attempt reversal. Some things are time sensitive and you might be able to reverse them. I would probably do number 3 first.
Okay.
Definitely contacting your bank, report to the fraud department or your local authorities. A couple of years ago, I got some check in the mail, like it didn't seem right, and I ended up taking that check to the police
Mm-hmm.
because if I had tried to cash that check, now I am what's the word? I could have
Committing fraud.
I could have gotten arrested.
Oh yeah.
Trying to pass um, a check that some check that they made up or whatever. So I just took it to the police. And whatever communication that was sent to me, I told do not reach out to me anymore. It was something crazy. Okay, next slide. Okay, here are places that you actually can report fraud. So we have the Federal Trade Commission email. The website is right there. The Internet Crime Complaint Center, right there. Again, your local law enforcement. You can go straight up the street to wherever your police department is. You can do that. Financial institutions. I have sent things to banks. Some banks even have a email specifically for if you're getting spoof emails, you can send it directly to the bank. So you can do that. And then here, identity theft recovery. Oh my gosh, who has not had to deal with some type of identity theft? There was a time when probably every single major retailer, every single credit bureau has had some type of data breach.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from Target to Equifax, I mean, it's stuff is out there all over the place. But placing fraud alerts, freezing your credit, monitoring your reports. I do monitor my credit report at least once a year, but I monitor my credit score every single month.
Mm-hmm.
Filing some type of identity theft report, but I also have identity theft insurance, if you will, because if something like that happens, it's so hard to get that kind of stuff off of your credit report. And so
Mm-hmm.
some extra protection in that area. You dealt with that too, Sarah?
Yeah, I had somebody try to use my well, they did use my social security to file taxes. And I only knew because I had filed my taxes and they said, "Well, you already filed your taxes." I said, "No, I didn't." um
Okay, I haven't
so
had that one.
that has happened, yes, to me and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Next slide. We only got a few more slides. Okay, this is the talk. This is that last piece, talk. After it's happened, sometimes people are kicking themselves about what they could have done to have prevented it. Um, Emotional recovery. And I got to go back to Bernie Madoff for a minute. I have watched every documentary, every show, every movie about Bernie Madoff for a couple of reasons. There were flags all along.
Mhm.
Flag on the play. There was flags everywhere. There were people that were reporting stuff, and people were just showing a blind eye. But one of the major things that people really didn't pay attention to is they were printing statements on a dot matrix printer. You would think that a company of that stature in New York at that time frame, nobody was getting statements on a dot matrix printer. with the little holes and the little frayed on the,
Mhm.
like, you gotta be kidding me. But that's what they were doing because they were printing all their own statements. That's a flag. That is a flag. So anyway, once it's happened. Acknowledge what happened, right? Remove the shame from it, because if you've been scammed, it's not necessarily that you have been that you're not smart,
Right.
right? It has nothing to do with that, right? But then you can start focusing on what are the next steps, right? So the goal is recovery, not regret. Let the regret go, work on recovery. And here's another really important one: how do you protect your loved ones? So I think about my mom. I think about Sarah. You think about your parents, your children.
Mhm.
How do we protect them? Well, one of the things that we got to do is we got to talk to them.
Mhm.
I remember before my grandparents passed, I was at their house one time and somebody came by with some kind of special water filtration system that was $6,000 to put on the house. Like, seniors are targets for things,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not saying that that water filtration system was good or bad, but they were on fixed income and they didn't have a conversation with anybody about it. I do talk to my mom about that a lot. Every time my mom wants to buy, especially something that's a technology, has something to do with technology, a laptop, a cell phone, whatever. I always tell her, please talk to me before you buy it, because she
Yeah.
made some very poor decisions and gotten into some contracts that she could not get out of.
Oh man.
So now I'm like, please, just, I'm here to help. Please talk to me first. So now what she does is like, I'm thinking about this, and she knows how to send a little link to me or whatever. So that we've gotten better on that. But of course, educating our children and our young adults and creating a family fraud plan. I don't even know what that looks like yet, but it's something I'm going to research. What does a family fraud plan look like? I think that would be something great. Sarah, it's probably something you're going to do.
Yeah. Something like the 6 steps. Kind of definitely incorporate the
Yeah,
6 steps.
exactly. And, one of the things when we talk about verifying, talk to somebody in your family. Say, hey, I got this email, I got this text message. I don't know if this is legitimate. What are your thoughts about it?
Hmm.
Let somebody else kind of help, kind of someone that's removed from the situation that can be more objective to kind of help you sort through, what you might want to do in that situation. So it's important. It's really important. Next slide. I think this is the next to the last slide. And I wanted to put something in here for business owners. Um, when business owners are making payments, one of the things that they can do is have dual approval for checks. I know this is true for a lot of associations. I belong to a large sorority, and I have been in a financial capacity in that sorority, and a check cannot be written without two signatures, which is
Hmm.
important, right? Having some type of internal controls for when monies are spent. Vendor verification process. That's important. Checking out these vendors before you sign on the dotted line. I do that. I'm doing that with people that are coming here to my house,
Yeah.
working on my house. Are you bonded before you go out here and cut this tree down? Are you bonded before you maybe do something destructive? I want to know if I want to verify first, right? Definitely having staff training. But this last part, this is kind of your call to action. There's a lot of stuff that we talked about, and I wanted to kind of give you here kind of the simple ones that you can start off with. Freezing your credit, and I'm gonna add and your debit and credit cards.
Yeah.
That's like easy to do. Um, Enable MFA, multi-factor authentication in areas. Monitor your accounts. Actually look at them. Look and see the expenses, income and expenses that are coming in and out of that account. Verify before sending money. Remember we talked about that dollar?
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
only gonna get a dollar first. I need to know that it gets to you first. And pause. Pause before acting. I'm in no hurry. I'm in no hurry. So these are kind of some of the simple things. I probably would add to that. What do you think, Sarah? The one about not leaving your credit cards or debit cards inside some of these websites.
Yeah.
I
Because
think
that's something you can control. You can deny, you can decline that. You can say, I
absolutely
don't want to store this,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's an important one as well. Okay, let's go to what I think is the last slide. Oh, one
There's
more
two
before
more.
that. One
Yeah.
more. Okay. So here's the big takeaway. Lessons learned. I think one of my mentors has always said, good judgment is a product of bad judgment.
Mm-hmm.
What it means by that is I made a mistake and I learned the lesson, and now I have good judgment because I had poor judgment and I paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So lessons learned. So awareness is not enough. There are systems to create protection. We just have to use them. There are some systems in place, and our behavior does determine our outcome. And when I think about behavior, I'm thinking about when I'm walking out of the store to my car, I'm no longer going to be on my cell phone texting because I got to pay attention to my surroundings, right?
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about my financial behavior. I'm thinking about all these extra emails and text messages that I get before I want to click on a link, that I pause to think about it before I do it, right? So lessons learned. You don't have to be paranoid, but you do have to be intentional. So I want to be more intentional about what I do with my money and my financial behavior so that I don't get played.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Last slide.
Yeah, this is the last one.
Yep. It's right 201. I went over. We just want to thank everyone for joining us. This is information for, you can reach out to Sarah or myself. The QR code is right there. I believe that will take you to our calendar link. You can book a free consultation with either one of us. I would say, especially if you are a veteran or in the military, Sarah is an expert on military money and all the resources that are available to you. She's also has a master's in financial planning. She is a stellar financial planner. I'm really happy to have her with me. But you can reach out to either one of us. So please do. We thank you. Please subscribe to our channel and please come back next month. We're going to have another exciting topic that we share. Okay.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Melissa.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.